Whew. Silver Pony here. Woo, hoo, hoo. Goodness. You don't realize how fucking cold you are until you're, whew. Boy, I'm cold. I had to come in for a minute. Mainly, it wasn't so much, I could have rolled underneath my swag roll and been okay for the night and survived the night with what I had. My buddy's doing a little bit better than I am, but he's got a lot better quality, just full-on kit than I have, because he's got a lot more experience in this than I do. He trains in this stuff, you know, a lot more than I do, and he's this is my first time to do something in such an extreme environment. I mean, this is the coldest temperatures I've ever been stuck out in my entire life. It's zero, really -1 Fahrenheit out there, and basically we've been rucking around several miles. We did a 6-mile ruck so far, and basically what happened is, you know, rucking around, if you get any dampness in any of your clothes, you have to change it. Like, you have to change it, because you can go hypothermic from having that in there as your base layer. But basically, even change, so we had to change clothes in the field. You want to talk about a, y'all want to talk about a let me tell you about it. And I don't want to hang out in here too long, because basically I got to go back out there, and I don't want to sweat in here at all. Because if you sweat, you got to change into something dry again before you go back out. It's very important that you stay 100% dry. And I got a lot of layers on, and I can handle it. But basically, whenever we had to change clothing, basically I had to take off 2 layers of pants to put on a mid-layer, sweat back on. So it would be a 4-layer. It would be my base layer, my sweats, which I had taken off for the hike, because you don't want to be too, when you're up moving around, you don't want to be too layered up, because your layers will be too hot and you'll sweat, and then whenever you cool back down, you got a problem. So basically, you know, I'd taken those sweats off. So basically I had a base layer, I had my outer pants, and then I had my water resistant DCUs on the top of that. And then I had basically 1 pair of wool poly blend socks and my boots on, and then, which were warm. They stayed warm and dry through that whole hike process. I mean, we did 6 miles, guys, in 0-degree temperature, with full kit, packs, all that stuff, through heavy, thick, wooded areas and all that stuff. So, and then my mid layer, I had basically a t-shirt, a long sleeve, a button-up long sleeve, and then I had taken off my hoodie, this hoodie, which is my basically mid-layer for the hike, and then I was wearing this jacket on top. So basically I had to rearrange everything. I had to change socks, I had to change a t-shirt, I had to take my pants off to be able to put my sweats back on, and then I had to basically, after I took the t-shirt, basically I stripped back down. And where I messed up is I basically try to do everything at once, and you're not realizing how extreme of an environment you're actually in, where really too much, what I did, trying to do too much at once, was way too much exposure, and basically I froze myself out really, really, really bad. And then my feet, after I finally got everything re-switched, and because I just tried to, like, I started to take it off, and I forgot. My buddy had said, you know, start at your top and do one thing at a time and work your way through your system. And I got confused in my mind because it's cold, and that's a whole nother element to it too, because when it's cold like that, basically your mind runs slower. uh, you just feel like your mind's not processing fast, like everything's slow movements, slow calculated movements. It's really intense. You just have to slow down and think your way through things and take your time while you're going through what you're doing, basically, and just try not to rush anything. And I basically got confused in what I was doing in my mind just because of the cold. And I started to take off too much layers, and then I got kind of disentangled with what I was doing, and basically I just stripped down to my... I had gotten my t-shirt back on and my long sleeve, but then I had taken my pants all off at once, and my socks, changed my socks, and then my feet stayed bare for a second while I was trying to get my new socks on, and then I ended up putting my sweats on, and then my feet were exposed, and then I started dealing with my top, and so my feet were exposed way too long. My hands were bare, and basically you're taking extreme cold in a way that, man, it took me a second. Like, I was cussing, I was hurting bad, guys. Like, physically it was hurting. And finally I got all my kit back on and situated, and finally I got my hands back into my gloves. My gloves warmed up pretty quick, and then my boots, I had switched into the snow boots, which are like a rubber duck boot outer with an insulated inner for basically like a snow kit. And when I put those freaking boots back on, I'm telling you, it was like I felt like my feet were on fire, guys. Like, I was really, really, really hurting. And the problem was, like, they warmed up a little bit, guys, but they did not warm up all the way. And the problem with not warming up all the way is I tried to crawl up underneath that swag poncho after I finally got everything back on to try to get my body temperature back up. And especially, I was trying to warm my feet, because basically once I got everything back on and started moving around, I warmed up rather quickly. Within about a 2-minute period of time, I was pretty toasty. But then whenever I was laying there basically trying to warm my feet up, they just wouldn't warm up. And so I told my buddy, I was like, man, I don't want to have to do this, but basically my feet are freezing so bad. I think my other boots were actually warmer than these, but my other boots that I had taken off were now cold because they had been sitting out exposed to this. And so basically I had to go back to home base for a minute to just to regroup. And I've got my other boots sitting under the heater warming up right now, just trying to get them to where they're wearable, and then I'm hopefully going to switch over and get back out there. And I really want to do the full overnight, but I think a big part of it too, my buddy, just plain and simple, he has a higher end kit than me. Just plain and simple, bro. Even though I do have thick, warm socks, they're not 100% merino wool socks, which is very important, because you need those merino wool socks to be able to stay warm even when they're damp. That's the advantage of them that my buddy had taught me, because I'm learning in this too. And so that's the advantage of that. And yeah, basically. Yeah, basically he's just got a better kit, I think. He's comfortable out there. I mean, he's definitely feeling it. But his pack is better than mine. That was something I noticed right away. His pack that he's running is way more robust. And I was thinking with a bigger tactical pack like that, he's going to be not as good as that hiking bag that I have. But the hiking bag actually caused way more pain. With a 6-mile hike, my back is beat down. My waist is beat down because I had to cinch it down really tight to try to take the weight off my shoulders from the pack. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff I'm learning, basically. I'm just putting my gear to the limit, and basically I see now that I need to upgrade my packs. I need to upgrade my socks, and there's a lot, guys. Because in a grid down environment, you might not have if it's non-permissive, you may not have the option to come back here to do what I'm doing right now. And that's why it's so important to get what you need now. That way you're fully prepared and kitted and ready to go for if that happens. You know, if a grid went down, could you handle temperatures like this? You know, probably not. As far as I'm speaking for myself, because this is it's basically a really intense situation, guys. Really intense. Like, my brain is so full of brain fog just from being out there in it. Like, my mind is running very slowly. I feel like I'm definitely having to, like, my brain feels like an ice cube, you know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely, it's amazing how much, what that cold can do, man. My goodness, I feel bad for anybody who's stuck. I mean, because there's people out there homeless in this right now. When I was telling you guys on the other video that some people have freeze to death and died and stuff like that, it happens in my city. I don't want that to happen, but it just, you know, this is extreme, man. Now, granted, they probably get to have fires, you know what I mean, but a grid down environment and 0-degree temperatures. You better be burning wood in a freaking 50-gallon drum inside it, you know, I mean, my goodness, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle that? That's just, it's really intense to even think about, guys. It's really intense to even think about. I don't need to over smoke a cigar because I was definitely inhaling that. Oh my goodness gracious. The other thing too is my throat. Breathing on that hike was intense. Guys, unless you're set up for this type of deal, I would not suggest being out in this. And if you are homeless, you're on the street, maybe you don't have a place to stay right now, and you're exposed to these types of things, man, layer up the best you can and try not to expend a bunch of energy. I'll put it to you like that. If you gotta get somewhere, or you're gonna get food, or it's an important, you know, errand, maybe it's a supply run or whatever, go do it, but try not to expend a bunch of energy, because it's going to break a sweat, and then you better have a whole backup layer kit and a way to you know, what I was talking about earlier, when there's a certain way basically, from what I found out, that you have to even change when you're exposed to this. It's like one layer at a time, taking your time, starting at the top and working your way down, you know. And if you do have to get down to change a t-shirt, basically you need to get your top layer off, get that t-shirt changed, and get it all layered back on like that. I mean, you need to get it done quick, like real quick, and get that jacket back on, and then try to do your pants, get that back on, and make sure that you don't do your socks and your pants stuff at the same time. Leave your socks on and do one or the other. That way you can hurry up and get through it. And also it'd be good to have a pair of thinner gloves that you can throw on that have some dexterity too. So have a secondary pair of gloves in your pack. They're a little bit more dexterous, so that you can have at least your hands protected while you're fiddling with all your gear, trying to get it all swapped out and everything. Because guys, it was any longer of exposure to that type of a temperature with bare skin, or even skin that's I can't think of the word, guys, not properly protected, even up to the certain level that you need it to be, that, I mean, you could take an injury quick. You could go hypothermic very quickly. I mean, my goodness, it was so stinking cold. I couldn't even believe how cold it was. I've never been that cold before. That was a whole new level of cold. That was a whole new level of cold, guys. That was a whole nother level. I'm sure there's some people here that are probably saying, "Oh, I've done worse than what you've done," and that's fine. I mean, I'm still getting used to the fact that of being exposed to that over a prolonged period of time without. But I'm gonna, this video is already at 17 minutes, and my buddy suggested I do some shorter ones, so I'm gonna try to keep some shorter ones too. Yeah, man, I guess I don't know if you're out there in this, just try to stay warm, man, and make sure you're drinking plenty of water and getting plenty of calories too, because plenty of calories are going to help you stay warm too. So just take your time with what you're doing, I guess. When you're doing this, don't rush anything, and just think out every little thing that you're doing, because mistakes cost you out there, for sure. Mistakes cost you out there. It's one thing I just learned. We'll talk more about the gear problems that I ran into. We're not going to do that in the same video, because I don't want to drag this one on too long. But like I said, I just want to give you guys another update. We'll probably just do short updates on this one, and that'll be the video, and we'll just do it in parts, you know what I mean? And yeah, we'll just do it like that. So yeah, we'll see you. We'll check back in here in a little bit. All right, Silver Pony out.